Teachers College principal highlights scam for spaces. 2016 PNG update looks beyond resource boom. And PNG-Australia relationship in need of change.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Thursday's news. 1.2 million kina in cash was stolen from PNG Forest officers in Port Moresby this morning. The robbery happened at the Jackson's airport as the officers were about to board a chartered flight. Details of the robbery are sketchy at this stage, but police say at least 5 men were involved. And City Metropolitan Superintendent Ben Turi confirmed the incident and said companies must include police officers when transporting huge sums of money. 2 school leavers from Highlands region fronted up at the office of the principal of Balog Teachers College in Lae this week, informing him that they had paid money into his private Westpac bank account. The principal, Jerry Handingau, told EMTV Lae that someone had done the same thing last year with an ANZ account bearing his name. He called on principals of other colleges and heads of tertiary institutions to be aware of what he described as a high-profile scam of students paying for spaces in tertiary institutions.
School leavers who have filled in the school leaver forms and were hoping to study at Balog Teachers College in Lae were contacted by an unknown person claiming to be the principal of the college. The caller asked the students to deposit a certain amount of money into his private Westpac account with this account detail in order to secure a space at the college next year. Balog Teachers College principal Jerry Handingau says this is the second time for something like this to happen to him.
Someone has opened an account under my name at Westpac Bank and now they are targeting school leavers.
Handingau had experienced the same scam last year from students who reported that they had deposited some money into his private account at ANZ Bank. He said he reported the matter to the bank for internal investigation and had not received any information on it until today. It is believed that a large amount of money has already been deposited into this account by someone who claims to be the principal of Balog Teachers College.
It's a scam. This is now becoming a second time it has happened to me, and I'm now telling other principals in other colleges to be very, very careful as well.
The Westpac Bank is aware of the situation and is working closely to investigate the matter. Both the college and the Westpac Bank are urging parents to make direct deposit into the college account only after receiving acceptance letters from the Office of Higher Education and the college. Meanwhile, the selection of school leavers for Balog Teachers College is done through the Office of Higher Education based on acquired GPAs. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Lae.
The 4th application by Felix Kange, the lawyer accused of killing his wife early this year, was refused by the Supreme Court in Port Moresby. Kange filed the application on security grounds. However, a 3-man Supreme Court bench ruled that there was no evidence that Kange's life was in danger and his security was guaranteed in custody. He was present when the decision was handed down at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Kange is being remanded at the Bomana jail outside Port Moresby. The 2016 PNG update began this morning at the University of Papua New Guinea's Waigani campus. The PNG update is a multidisciplinary conference that covers contemporary economic, politics and social issues in Papua New Guinea. This year's conference is themed Sustaining Development in PNG Beyond the Resource Boom.
It's been a tough year for the University of Papua New Guinea, but today was somewhat a rebirth for the institution that marks 50 years since its first classes were delivered in 1966. Today, the country's premier university reclaimed its honor by hosting the 2016 PNG update and facilitating intellectual discussions and debates on issues of national interest. This was done in collaboration with the Australian National University.
Having the confidence and the trust in this university to come back so that we all can collectively look at turning a new chapter.
There was a range of speakers from policymakers, bureaucrats, professionals from the public sector, private sector, NGO and others. Discussions centered on PNG's economic outlook, strategies to convert the resources boom into development, macro and fiscal management, social and gender issues in a growing economy, and more.
It has been a challenging year for the new PNG, and it is a credit to the strength of the institution and its people that you've worked hard to overcome those challenges.
The seminar continues for one more day and is sponsored by the Australian Government, the Asian Development Bank, UPNG and ANU. Delhi Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
The current foreign aid framework between Papua New Guinea and Australia is outdated and needs to be fixed. Australian High Commissioner to PNG, Bruce Davis, said this today at the 2016 PNG update in Port Moresby, adding that Australia and Papua New Guinea are no longer donor and recipients, but now economic and strategic partners. Minister for National Planning and Monitoring, Charles Abel, agreed that PNG's relationship with Australia has evolved.
The Australian High Commissioner told the gathering that the current foreign aid framework does not reflect the reality of the broad bilateral relationship shared between Australia and Papua New Guinea.
Australia and Papua New Guinea are no longer donor and recipient, but economic and strategic partners in the 21st century. It's a partnership defined by many things.
He said today Australia's investment in PNG stands at 45 billion kina. Two-way trade between both countries amounted up to 14 billion kina last year, with 60% of that trade going from PNG to Australia. He added that there are over 5,000 Australian companies that do business here in PNG.
At independence in 1975, Australia's development support represented 40% of Papua New Guinea's budget. It now stands at around 10%. While the global downturn in resource prices has presented us both with some large challenges, the outlook still remains promising. For both of our countries, situated as we are on the broader Oceania and Asia, the economic opportunities are immense.
Minister for National Planning and Monitoring, Charles Abel, agreed that the relationship between both countries has evolved.
By natural progression, as our economy grows, the aid component is shrinking every year, and it's representing a smaller and smaller component. But it's the trade relationship and the economic relationship that is the one that is growing. And obviously, the intention of the investment and support we get through grant programs is meant to catalyze and continue that process so Papua New Guinea is empowered and the relationship eventually is completely an economic and business, and of course a human relationship because they're our closest neighbor.
Similar views suggest that economic cooperation is at the heart of the Australia-PNG relationship in the 21st century. Delhi Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
The new Dual Citizenship Act is one good way for Papua New Guinea to promote its national agenda. Minister for Foreign Affairs and Immigration, Rimbing Pato, says the new Dual Citizenship Act is important as PNG becomes more globalized. Pato said after 41 years of development, Papua New Guineans have learned what has occurred already in terms of development, capacity building for our people, and the need to be more connected because of the way in which the world is globalizing. Martha Lewis with this report from Lae.
Minister for Foreign Affairs and Immigration Rimbing Pato says the Dual Citizenship Act is the best way to drive the country's agenda to bring in better quality of life for our people, as well as trade and investment. Pato says the promotion of the Dual Citizenship Act is important as there's more capacity available to develop PNG. The minister made these remarks during the official opening of the PNG Immigration and Citizenship Service Authority Regional Office in Lae today.
In terms of development, in terms of capacity building for our people, and the need to connect better because of the way in which the world is globalizing. So today we are so interconnected. And what's the best way to drive our national agenda? What's the best way to bring a better quality of life for our people? What's the best way in which we can connect people to people, government to governments, trade and investment? And one of these ways in which we can promote that exercise is through the provision of dual citizenship.
Pato says there's no reason as to why PNG should not implement the Dual Citizenship Act, given that the country's profile has grown. Adding, regionally, we are the leader in the Pacific because of our economy, population, and land mass. PNG is the only country in the Pacific that is connected to the growing economies of Southeast Asia because of the land border we share with the Republic of Indonesia.
We saw this an opportunity that we must take advantage of, because the whole world is connecting and there's no reason why we shouldn't, particularly as Papua New Guinea's profile globally has grown, and regionally we're a leader of the Pacific because...
The minister also outlined the setup of the new office as important in translating government policies in Momase, Highlands and the New Guinea Islands region. As the need for the provisions of passports grows, answers to immigration issues as well as the new Dual Citizenship Act, which was passed 2 days ago, will arise. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Lae.
One way of being recognized in the scientific world is to have newly discovered species named after you. That's happened to a Papua New Guinean marine biologist who has not one, but 2 new deep-sea species named after him. EMTV caught up with him today after his return from a scientific conference in Paris.
The newly discovered species of a shark and a shell were found in the deep-sea waters of northern Papua New Guinea. The shark was found in 2014 in New Ireland, while the shell was first found in Milne Bay in 2010. Professor Ralph Mana from Angoram in the East Sepik province was part of 3 expeditions which discovered this species, and as recognition for his work and his years in the field, he was given the naming honor.
Scarborotrophon manai, and the shark is Rhinobatos manai. So manai is a species name. The first name is the genus. Yeah, so that's how they name those species there.
These expeditions were sponsored by the National Museum of Natural History in Paris.
This is the most comprehensive. Most comprehensive. So a lot of these things that we found are really new and very comprehensive study, and many species. I think 15+% of the things that we bring it up there are new species.
Very little is still known about this new species. And as for the shark, as it was the only one of its kind caught, it will be kept overseas, while some samples of the shell will be sent back to the University of PNG. The 2 new species are not the only new discoveries with names connected to PNG. The scientific world has also adopted the name Yag, the Bell language name of a new algae found in Medang, and the name Kaviang has been given to a new crab species found in New Ireland. Professor Mana was aware of the shark being named after him, but the shell came as a complete surprise. He said as a nation with a significant volume of natural unexplored biodiversity in the world, it is important that more studies are carried out, especially in the deep-sea waters of PNG.
Know that PNG, our landmass, the area is about 0.2% of the world, the entire world. But our biodiversity richness is 6 to 7%. Very significant. And now those deep sea research going on, we're also adding new species to the list. So maybe 10 years time, when most of the papers are published, we might increase that percentage to maybe 8 or 9. It's very significant.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
When we come back, question time in Parliament and a new competitor in the communications industry. Stay with us. Welcome back. The upgrade of the Highlands Highway 4-lane road to be built in Mount Hagen City was raised in Parliament today. Opposition leader Don Pollier highlighted the bad road conditions left dormant in the third largest city in the country. Works Minister Francis Awesa explained that the road project will open in January next year.
Oh, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's a very sad story. That particular grandstanding announcement made by all of the cabinet who went up to this third largest city in Papua New Guinea stands about 12 months and not even anything else has happened. Potholes, legally potholes, also bomblon Japan come down over the Mount Hagen town, over the Europe, you look in volcano erupt also one, volcanic crater stuff, Ogadablo, Sirina, especially along the highway.
And the answer to the Honorable Member for Kandep, opposition leaders, question is simple. We will open that project the 19th of January 2017. Funds available as I speak. Cabinet has already approved the funding. So the date is 17th January next year.
Karakuhiri MP Peter Isoaimo criticized the government for dragging its heels in completing the Koyari beneficiaries review as well as providing answers to the controversial land ownership of the Koitaki plantation. His questions were met with reassurance from the Trade, Industry and Commerce Minister, Richard Maru, who said the department was working to develop the most sustainable package for Koyari landowners.
Mr. Speaker, we've had some delay.
Minister Maru added that the delay was now in the disbursement of funds from the Department of Treasury to be able to complete the benefits package review.
Prime Minister gave his commitment last week that funding will be made available hopefully by next week, so my department can complete the process of all the consultations with the Koyari people and the member himself.
Still on land ownership, Isoaimo raised questions over the controversy surrounding the Koitaki plantation ownership.
The ownership of Koitaki plantation has somehow landed in the hands of shareholders and directors of a company that is associated to a former member of parliament from Central Province.
Maru's response, however, indicated that the land now belongs to an expatriate and his wife, who happens to be a national, and that his department was looking into what he described was a suspicious transfer of land entitlements.
Now informed the new acting chairman of the Securities Commission to investigate this. I'm now also going to place a formal complaint to the police commissioner. I want the ownership transfer to be investigated. I do not believe the current people who claim to own the plantation own the plantation.
But there is more. The Koitaki plantation also still owes the government over 6 million kina as a result of prior land ownership dealings. Maru explains that the government intends to recoup.
A couple of years ago, the state bought cattle in Makam Farm, and I understand 4,000 of that was transferred to Koitaki plantation, sold and disposed of, and somebody walked away with all that money. And the state is...
Otherwise, the government, he said, looks to honor its commitment in ensuring that the Koyari landowners own substantial shares in land ownership for the 5,000 hectares of prime land used for state purposes. Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
Water supply in Medang district will be extended into 4 new villages on the northern coast of Medang province. This follows a partnership signing between Medang District Development Authority and Water PNG this morning. This will be the first time for these villages to have access to treated water.
A memorandum of agreement was signed by Medang MP Nixon Duban in his capacity as the DDA chairman, and Raka Taviri Jr., the Water PNG Chief Executive and Managing Director. The signing comes 2 years after initial surveys were conducted in Medang. It will be a 4 million kina project where funding is sourced from outside the District Support Improvement Program Fund.
We have been working on this project for a long time, given the nature of the project and the cost that have been proposed to the district and a different engineering perspective on how we can address the water issue. We have taken a while, and we would like to, on behalf of the Malayan District Development Authority, take this opportunity to thank Mr. Taviri and his team for their patience and the ability to see the importance of this project.
A launching will be done in Madang in 2 weeks' time to mark the start of the project. The installation of water supply into villages is an expensive exercise, but Water PNG's Chief Operating Officer, Billy Ima, says local MPs can partner with Water PNG to bring in treated water supply into their communities.
We need to do more of these sort of district expansions, and we can't do it alone. We definitely need the members' support and the government support in establishing the initial areas of operation within the district. Once that's done and we have the support, similarly, we can do that across the country.
Basically, this is distributing the pipelines into the 4 villages in Madang, not far from Aradi Tuna. So it's an opportunity for us to partner with DDA and the people there to deliver this.
Water PNG is the largest water supplier in the country, and it has signed a number of MOUs with local members to extend water supply into their villages. For the 4 Madang villages, it will be a service that has been lacking for many years. Sakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Digitech PNG hosted a one-day roadshow showcasing their products and services, also announcing their 2 new subsidiary companies and their growth in the economy.
In a one-day roadshow held at the Holiday Inn Ballrooms, Digitech Technologies showcased their various products and elaborated why Digitech was an upcoming competitor in the market. The roadshow was witnessed by various public and private companies such as Telecom PNG, IBBM Enterprise Centre, UPNG, NDB, Office of Climate Change, and more. In graphical presentations, the National Sales Manager for PowerShield, Stephen Bohm, and CEO of Digitech, Nirmal Singh, spoke of various products and services provided by the company and how they vary from other IT companies.
Basically, Digitech is now moving into telecommunication space. Your traditional business has been telecom, Digicel, B-Mobile. As you know, they use either fixed line or they use GSM using the towers. What Digitech will deliver is similar service on the internet. So the cost is much cheaper. VoIP, as you know, stands for Voice over IP. So instead of using GSM tower, we'll deliver calls anywhere in the world for much cheaper price using internet service.
Digitech started in PNG 4 years ago and are soon to launch 2 new subsidiary companies, eTech, a distribution company, and DigiVoIP, a telecommunication company. Upon initially starting the company in PNG, Digitech has invested 10 million kina into the economy with a 1,000% growth, and they are very hopeful for the future, despite budget cuts by the government.
There is challenging time out there. We're having FX rate issues where we are unable to remit money overseas. As you know, we have to import everything. Government's cutting their budget. And there's hard time. But look, we are here for the long haul. We are here to invest in the country for better service and cheaper rates. So in the long term, PNG as a country will benefit from what we're trying to introduce today in the market.
Daphne Russahay, National EMTV News.
DigiVoIP, or Digital Voice over Internet Protocol, is the new subsidiary company of Digitech. Customers will have a choice of making local and international calls through DigiVoIP. The new telecommunication company will be launched next month.
Digitech has announced that they will be launching a new telecommunication company, DigiVoIP, next month. In their one-day roadshow, Digitech CEO Nirmal Singh gave a sneak peek into the services that Digitech would be providing and how Papua New Guineans would save 100% of what they are spending if they were to switch to Digitech.
There's will be huge savings for your local calls as well. And any customers on our network, they'll talk for free, regardless where they are. And the best part is when you're traveling overseas, you don't have to do roaming as far as you find a free Wi-Fi, which is available readily in this now, or you can get a local SIM card in overseas and talk to your office for free in PNG. So what we're introducing is called disruptive technology in telecom market.
Mr. Singh reiterated that knowledge transfer is very important and Digitech is future ready with the new subsidiary company coming up. DigiVoIP will now be a new player in the market and are very enthusiastic about their strategic resolutions to grow in this challenging economy.
We want to give awareness to our customers and PNG as a whole that there is an option now for better service and cheaper rates. So in the long term, PNG as a country will benefit from what we're trying to introduce today in the market. There is challenging time out there. We're having FX rate issues where we are unable to remit money overseas. As you know, we have to import everything. Government's cutting their budget. And there's hard time. But look, we are here for the long haul. We are here to invest in the country. It will come. And having said that, Digitech has grown 1,000% in 4 years. And that's something. When you look at it, in the time we are facing now, the challenges we are facing as a business, we have still grown 200%, 250% a year. So imagine what will happen when the times are much better.
Daphne Russahay, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3155 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3080 US, $0.3992 Australian dollars, $0.2745 euro, and 31.46 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee and cocoa closed higher, while gold and copper closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil, and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 77.46 points lower, the ASX is trading at 3.44 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 4.44 points lower. Among stories after the break, former Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott visits Borroko Police Station, the launch of the biannual Children's Forum, and MRA hosts alluvial mining convention. Stay with us for details. Welcome back to the news. The first episode of a new season of Women's World aired last night. The 12 episodes in the new season will focus on gender-based violence prevention and response in Papua New Guinea. With funding support from Global Fund, the Oil Search Foundation, and a wide range of stakeholders in PNG, themes around GBV will be explored, including health sector responses, men as champions for change, and counselling and care for survivors.
Gender-based violence is the focus of a new 12-episode season produced by EMTV's Women's World program with the support from Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria. The first episode premiered last night featuring stakeholders including the National Family and Sexual Violence Action Committee, the National Family and Sexual Violence Unit and the National Health Department, among others. The Oil Search Foundation has been working in partnership with Women's World and looks forward to this season, which will focus on positive responses and solutions as part of a nationwide response to gender-based violence.
Some of the key messages that we want to get out of this was about what people can do when they're faced with family and sexual violence, rather than focusing on the stories and sensationalising on the victim side of things, looking at, okay, what about people who have survived this and what can they do in terms of moving forward? What health services can they access? What's the law and justice process for them to follow? I think some of the key messages that we'll show through on the episodes, and I've just been privileged to see some of the first episodes, and some of the things that people talk about is not being blamed, and that you can break that cycle of violence, but you actually have to make that change. You have to make that start.
The season will be broadcasted on MTV as well as radio on Papua New Guinea's information and music leader, FM 100, and online via MTV's website and social media.
It's great that this is going to be viewed in the evening, family time. It's something that's available for a range of audiences. It's great that it's going to go out on social media. I'd really encourage people to share it on their Facebook and get it right out there. The video, the series will be compressed and shown that you can watch it on Facebook on a mobile phone device, and giving people that information and guidance on what they can do.
More to come on the season are the interrelated themes of gender-based violence, including health sector responses, legal and policy challenges, counselling and care for survivors, language and cultural beliefs, and what men and women can do as champions for change. Michaeline Moyabasi, National MTV News.
The Department of Community Development and Religion, together with the Minister Delilah Gore, today announced the launching of the biannual Children's Forum. The forum will be based on the theme, Let the Children Speak, and it is the first of its kind in Papua New Guinea. The actual launching of the forum will be on the 20th of this month.
Since the launch of the Lukautin Pikinini Act 2015, the Department of Community Development, Youth and Religion has completed the regulations with the assistance of Constitutional Law Reform Commission and the Child Protection Policy with the assistance of UNICEF. The department has also successfully trained law enforcement agencies on their role in the implementation of the Lukautin Pikinini Act, as well as welfare officers who are now called child protection officers. Speaking at the conference today, the Minister for Community Development, Youth and Religion, Delilah Gore, said one of the most important sections of the Lukautin Pikinini Act is the call for a biannual forum or Pikinini Bung.
But we adults think we alone know everything for them and we can fix their issues. We have not heard the collective voices of our children and how they see us addressing some of these issues that affect them.
MTV asked the conference panel why the forum was to be held biannually and not annually. The department secretary, Anna Solomon, explained that the forum is on a trial run. Given a 2-year gap, will cater to the department as well as children and other participants a realistic approach.
And I think our children are showing the rest of the country, the women, all the other groups that have forums ad hocly, we are now showing that through example, that it has to be by law. And so these important conversations and the recommendations that come out are really taken into account, and that can contribute to the future of this country.
The head of UNICEF, PNG, Olushola Esmali, was also in attendance at today's media conference and elaborated further on the importance of the Children's Forum.
That this occasion is eventually taking place, where we are going to have opportunities, to interact more with the children, to hear what are those issues that the children are facing. Yesterday we had opportunity to launch, one of the major milestones in terms of telling the Papua New Guinea and the Papua New Guinea government.
Lorraine Gabina, National MTV News.
Former Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott visited the Boroko police station in Port Moresby this morning. He was shown around a number of building infrastructure erected through the PNG-Australia Policing Partnership Program. They include the Family and Sexual Violence Unit and the Office of the NCD Superintendent for Operations.
He was met by NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Ben Turi, who took him on a tour around the station. The tour began at the Sexual Offences Squad unit to the recently renovated cell blocks, Office of the Superintendent for Administrations, and the Family Sexual and Violence Office. Mr. Abbott also spent a few minutes speaking to police officers and survivors of family and sexual violence.
Pleased to be here at the Boroko Police Station, where Australian Federal Police and their
Royal PNG Constabulary colleagues are working hand in hand to improve the law and order situation in Port Moresby.
Mr. Abbott arrived in Papua New Guinea yesterday as a guest speaker for the Anglican's 16th anniversary. While in Port Moresby, he has visited a number of infrastructures that was funded by the Australian government.
I was the Australian Prime Minister who very much increased the deployment of Australian Federal Police officers to PNG. I'm proud of the work they're doing. I'm pleased with the continuing partnership between Australia and PNG in a whole host of areas, from border protection to national development, and I want to build on this very strong foundation.
He stopped for lunch with members of the Australian Federal Police and the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary before retiring for the day. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Mineral Resource Authority hosted its third alluvial mining convention and trade show in Goroka, Eastern Highlands Province today. This year's theme is mechanizing the alluvial industry. The trade show brought together the small-scale miners throughout Papua New Guinea, including international stakeholders.
The trade show today was to educate small-scale miners of the Mineral Resource Authority's new concept to mechanize the alluvial mining. This is to bring more appropriate technologies and equipment into the alluvial sector. Currently, small-scale miners use dish to extract copper and gold ore.
That means they use their hands. Mothers are working 8 hours, even 12 hours a day. And they're using rudimentary tools like sluice boxes, pen dishes. That's intensive, they don't actually get much at the end of the day. So what we are trying to do is to mechanize the alluvial sector, and that means trying to introduce appropriate technology that's one step up from where they are right now.
Alluvial minings are unconsolidated rock materials or non-mechanized mining. Most of the miners are landowners who partner with companies who have gold export license to sell and buy gold. There are two types of leases given. First is the alluvial mining lease that is given to a LOS or land group to a maximum of 5 years. The second one is mining lease given to any citizen to a maximum of 20 years. The value of alluvial gold exported between 2008 to 2015 was 365 million kina.
From the benefit side of the use of mechanized mining, it's normally increasing the production for the alluvial mining. And on the safety side of it, with the machines, involvement of the machines, it has more risk also involved in it.
The Mineral Resource Authority has introduced mechanization of alluvial mining so that small-scale miners also comply with rules and regulations of the Mining Act. MRA have seen that many projects have been failed in PNG, like the Misima mine, because of no reserve or backup resources. LOs apply to get mining lease based on the assumption that there is resources in the area. But after a developer comes in, they leave very early because of no backup.
Because they don't understand the arrangements, they don't understand the legal requirements. All they're thinking is, yeah, I'm the leaseholder, and I'm getting something for it. But they find out that whatever they get is not exactly sufficient.
The current biggest alluvial mine is at Waubulolo in Morobe province. MRA has set up a training center there to educate small-scale miners on how to mine, apply for a lease or joint venture, and how to manage the income that they receive. Vasanata Yama, National EMTV News, Goroka.
Chukai Sports is next. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Sports Minister Justin Tichenko yesterday highlighted the 2017 sports budget takes up a fair portion of the budget being allocated on sporting infrastructures taking shape in the nation's capital. The total budget for all the facilities, including the 2 new stadiums, stands at 15 million kina a year for sporting programs and development.
The 2017 budget for sports in Papua New Guinea. Under the current situation, the Ministry of Sports, led by Sports Minister Justin Tichenko, told EMTV that his ministry has received a fairly tight but reasonable budget for sports, especially when they have to maintain all sports infrastructure and ensuring that the facilities are maintained and looked after at the highest level. The minister said the 2017 budget is being fairly distributed across the board and his ministry is committed in delivering the services to the people.
10 million kina for sports enhancement program. Out of that 10 million kina comes 2.5 million for the FIFA Rugby League World Cup next year as a government's commitment. And also we are also assisting with the Oceania national swimming competition as well, with their component of the funding as well, and assisting basketball and rugby league in those areas.
But at the end of the day, another 10 million kina is allocated for the completion of the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium, as well as 6 million for the construction of the High Performance Training Centre.
We've already got all the designs, all the architectural drawings, all the engineering work already done. Now it will go out for tender and we want to see it start construction early next year.
He further stated that it is a reasonably good budget under the current circumstance where the country is feeling the effects of low commodity prices.
The total budget for all our facilities, including these ones, these 2 new stadiums, is 15 million kina a year. That's staff and that's management, maintenance, but the biggest cost to maintain all these facilities is the utilities, water and power and sewerage, and all these issues cost a lot of money to maintain the lights, the power, the field, to maintain water, all the beautiful new grassed fields, etc. So utilities nearly take up 60% of the budget.
The minister described human resource as the main asset for development, and drive for change will be tremendous, and making sure that investing in Papua New Guineans to learn and acquire quality skills and knowledge to manage and run the facilities is a priceless investment and one that should not be criticized. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
With less than 10 days to the opening ceremony of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup, pressure is mounting on the local organizing committee as the rush to complete the final stages of construction on the venues picks up. Meanwhile, teams from 15 different countries will start descending upon Jackson's International Airport in the coming days, with Venezuela arriving in the nation's capital this morning.
What you see behind me is a work in progress. This 5,000 seating capacity stadium with change room, offices and broadcast equipment will be the new home of football in the country. Sports Minister Justin Tichenko said for the first time football is finally being recognized by the government, and the PNG Football Association will work together with the PNG Sports Foundation to sublease the ownership of the national government, as it is the national government's property and investment.
In making this possible, from the contractor right down to the PNG Sports Foundation management and staff, in working with PNG FA to get this fantastic result. So we are games ready, and we'll be handing over these facilities on Sunday for next week to be the overlays to be done and things to move forward.
The first country to arrive in Papua New Guinea early this morning was Venezuela. The South American team finished second place in the South American qualifying competition. Venezuela, along with PNG, will make their debut appearance in this tournament. NCD Governor Paul Sparkop said despite the short time of preparation, the government and the local organizing committee will show to FIFA that PNG can deliver a world-class international event, and PNG is games ready.
Championship ready, we are ready to welcome the games, the young champions from all the 5 continents of the world, and make it a success, an event they'll never forget. And our goal is to make these young champions become ambassadors of our country, our people, our culture, once they leave our shores.
The government highlighted that the event is a significant one that will inspire a lot of young women and mothers in the community to take ownership and responsibility and to achieve the outcome that everyone who takes part in the tournament will remember PNG once they have returned to their countries. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. Kickboxing is creating change in Rabe village on the outskirts of Alotau in Milne Bay. Milne Bay kickboxing team coach Solomon Tiamani says the code is attracting youth and having an impact on their lives. Meanwhile, Coach Tiamani says despite the deferral of the 7th PNG Games in Kimbe, Team Alotau is making progress in its preparations.
Behind Rabe Primary School is where the training for the local boxers take place. These youths are from Rabe and nearby communities outside Alotau town. For Coach Solomon Tiamani and wife Flora, they see more interesting talents joining the code. The core of the club is centered in exercising self-discipline.
But now since I came in and we stepped in, we starting this thing. And we give him a big positive impact there. Where most of these youths were also before move around or walk himself passing or stop.
Over 15 fighters are training in the respective divisions. However, only a few will be competing in the 7th PNG Games in Kimbe come next year. The team is preparing 6 fighters, including female boxers, but need proper facilities.
I'm only worried about boxing ring to solve. Always we did a proposal and we are pushing it through. Sports officer will bring him to cry around.
With the rise in alcohol abuse, use of illicit substance, violence and other domestic issues in urban communities, the code is aiming to use boxing as a tool for change.
We've been talking highly on discipline-wise in terms of drug and alcohol abuse, violence against women, abuse kids, all that. Doing awareness to families and homes and telling them to bring it back to their homes and to their community and the society they live and to make the place a better and safer place to live.
With Rabe Primary, the training venue, the community is seeing some changes within the attitude of youths.
Also realize that the young men that come to take part in the practices in the afternoons are beginning to make good decisions for themselves.
Jack Lepave Jr., National EMTV Sports, Alotau.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region only. Fine, although cloudy at times in Port Moresby, cloudy periods in Daru and fine weather in Kerema, Alotau and Popondetta.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now recapping tonight's main stories. Teachers College principal highlights scam for spaces. 2016 PNG update looks beyond resources boom. And PNG-Australia relationship in need of change. And that has been the national news for tonight, Thursday, 3rd of November 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Helen Sear. Pleasant viewing. Good night.